Um,
Okay, so the next thing I kind of wanted to move into was level design and sort of the
uh,
visual aspect of War for Wakanda, because one of the struggles I had when the game launched was that the level design, in my opinion, I'm just going to say it was terrible. It was really bad. Have you ever downloaded any like sort of game development kits like Unreal Engine or
yeah,
Unity just for messing around with? So
yeah, I have.
all those development kits, you know, they come with like prefab levels where you can just test out assets in them, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the environments in this game were one of those prefab levels, and then they
Mm.
just slapped some aim structures on top of them. That's what it felt like to me. It's
Yeah,
hard to describe, but like a lot of the exterior environments in this game somehow feel more enclosed than they should. Like it feels like it's just a
yeah,
big long hallway with sky over top and then maybe one or two
yeah.
branching pathways. And it's really
Mm.
bugged me because it doesn't feel like a natural world. I don't feel immersed. I feel like I'm playing a video game.
No, yeah, especially when they have the big aim like platforms in the sky.
In a
It's
literal platformer, I would be willing to look
yeah,
past that. But in a game that they're trying to set within a fictionalized version of the real world,
yeah,
it's so off-putting and it felt really cheap and really lazy. So with
yeah.
that in mind, what do you think of the changes they made to level design with War for Wakanda?
I have to say, I found the additional platforming very frustrating. There's this one level where, near the end, where you're climbing up this turbine and you have to get to the top before like the steam hits you or something.
Yeah, there's that beam shooting off excess vibranium particles that moves up
Yeah,
and down. Yeah, I hated
I
that
nearly
part.
died so many times. And there was like a weird angle that you had to get on a wall run
I could
that like
not get it.
just couldn't click for me. Yeah.
No, I could
And
not
it
get the
eventually
wall
got
run
him,
there.
but
I tried it like 20 times and I just said, okay, you know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna jump straight to the next platform. Luckily, you can make it if you double jump at the right time,
okay.
he'll cling onto the edge. But I tried so many times to do that wall run and it
Hmm.
just didn't work.
No. And I there was actually moments in like buildings like that one where I was fighting people and maybe it was just some of the like the enemy count was just getting really high, but I was bouncing around because there's explosions happening, there's people throwing sonic blasters at you, you can't see where you're going, and then all of a sudden I would just find myself falling off the edge. Or there was actually one time, and I should have saved a clip of this. I did a takedown, and because this takedown moves over a little bit, I literally started the takedown on the edge and finished the takedown like
Falling off
basically
the edge
dying
into a
because I
bottomless
fell
pit.
off the edge and yes.
I had that exact same thing happen to me at least three times.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
understand. And the problem is, once you fall off the edge, it's weird. In some places, and I've only found it in this expansion, you'll fall into a bottomless pit, but then you'll respawn falling into the bottomless pit again.
Oh
And it
no.
won't be until you respawn like a third time that you're actually on solid ground. But by that
Yeah,
point, you're basically
you're
almost dead
down.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it got really frustrating. And I was gonna say, I don't think they really did enough with improving the level design in this DLC. They really
No,
did
like
not do enough to change it because sure it looks different.
that's what I was
The
gonna
sort
say.
of
It looks nicer.
Afrofuturism aesthetic where you've got both this African style art but this sci-fi technology infused landscape
Mhm.
looks beautiful on the surface, but functionally it's the same kind of design as it was before, and
Yep.
it's just as frustrating, if not more so, because one of the problems I had with the base levels in this game is that they lacked a sense of verticality. All of the
Yeah.
environments felt incredibly flat. Like there's no hills to climb up. There's nothing on any like mountaintops or anything. It's
Yeah.
all very flat, and maybe that's a restriction from the combat. I don't know, but their solution to that was okay. We're gonna add an element of verticality by giving you bottomless pits. Well, that doesn't really do that. Having like one or
Yeah,
two
nah.
different elevations really doesn't change the verticality of the game in a meaningful way. Like, give me
No.
a skyscraper with multiple floors to go through, like a construction site or something. I don't know. But don't just give
Anything.
me a hole in the ground and say, well, it's an
Yeah.
improvement. Because at the end of
Yeah,
the
no.
day, most of the jungle levels in Wakanda are the same like corridor structure where you start at one end of the
Ooh.
level, walk all the way
Yep.
to the end, and
That's all I've
then
got. I was
that's
just
it.
getting
That's
all
it for
my.
the level.
Yep.
And
Well, and even
this is
like
not.
if you're playing a flying character like Thor or Iron Man, like there's a ceiling of how far you can fly. And even if they did it, they if they got rid of the ceiling, but they had it so, in Apex, when you get too high, it says return to level in 3, 2, 1.
Hmm.
That might even be a better solution than the ceiling because it just feels like you can't fly
Yeah,
forever.
at least that
And
way it
like,
makes you feel like you can, you're just not allowed to. Whereas, like, with having an invisible ceiling, you're physically restrained from going up.
yeah, which is frustrating.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like you said, it looks nicer. The textures and the vibe of the area of Wakanda looks really nice, but it is still very similar level design. And what I don't know about you, I I I don't think you can change the power level for the story, can you? Because I just kept it as like the normal. But I
I
found
just
that
kept
the
it on default.
enemies, yeah, I found that there was so many enemies, especially in those levels with the like drills. The ones, the big ones that have they're basically like the big crawly levels
Yeah,
again, where you have to
the
get the
fuses.
feet out, and then
Yeah.
yeah. There was times where I was literally just running around, not even trying to hit anybody, because every time I stopped to hit somebody, I was just completely bombarded with spiders and vibranium sonic rays and shit. Like it just became way
And
too
that
much.
is where I found this DLC was so frustrating, and why I think it is not the big home run that this game needed to save it, because they
Yeah.
wanted to shake up the gameplay with new enemy types, but the new enemy types, more than anything, just frustrated me. The fuse, first of all, is really just like you said, a reskinned walker thing. It's just a different shape. That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's the same mechanic, different shape. The enemies, though, especially in that one sequence, I know which one you're talking about. The first time you come across
Yep.
that fuse in the story, where there are like 50,000 guys all standing on top of it attacking you, was beyond frustrating for me.
Oh my God.
The
I know.
Sonic infused enemies, first of all, it tells you you need like either Sonic gear or Vibranium gear to get rid of their shielding and fight them. I didn't pick up
Yep.
any Sonic or Vibranium gear throughout the whole time I was playing the story. So I had
Yeah,
no way
no.
to fight these guys except to just hit them and slowly chip away at their health until they were dead. The
Same.
other thing, too, is the new tactician enemies, who are these little drone operators who send out little flying drones at you. They can go straight to hell. Oh my god, I have never fought a more frustrating enemy in a video game ever.
Yeah.
And not frustrating in the sense that like they're providing a challenge in terms of gameplay. Frustrating because they physically made me feel sick. They gave me a headache, and I
No.
don't know who thought it was a good idea to put that in the game, but to be honest, I'm actually like personally insulted by it because
Oh my God. Yeah.
it's so infuriating playing it. And you destroy one of those drones, they send three more at you. Like,
Yeah. Well, it just becomes to the point where you don't even want to you don't even know what you're doing. Like you're just button mashing at that point because you're hoping that you're gonna hit something because you can't see shit. Like
yeah,
there's nothing you
exactly.
can do about it.
And like that whole part, not only are you getting bombarded with those, but you've also got, like you said, enemies attacking you from every different angle. And
Hmm.
that whole
Hmm.
portion of the DLC was so frustrating because you're getting hit from every angle while you're blind. And I just wanted to walk away from the game completely there.
Yeah.
It just got so annoying. And
It's moments like that that make you not really feel like how I think you should feel as these characters.
no,
Like you don't want to take away the challenge of the game, but like it's moments like that that make you don't like that make you not feel like a superhero
yeah,
anymore, you
and
know?
that's one of the problems I have is like if you're playing as a superhero, you should feel super. It was a big problem I had with Hulk when the game launched because he went down too
Yeah.
easily. Like this guy is a human tank. He should be able
Yeah.
to absolutely shit stomp everything without getting
Mhm.
hurt. And now with the new enemy types, you don't feel like you're very super. And
No.
one of my big frustrations with Black Panther, as much as I love how he plays, is how defensive his playstyle is. Because you have to build up his intrinsic meter by blocking and countering attacks. And
Yeah.
for me, that doesn't really work because of the way the combat system in this game is built. Like, you've played the Spider-Man games. I'm not sure. Have you played the Batman Arkham series?
I did, yeah. I
Okay,
played
so
some of the earlier ones. I don't think I played Origins.
okay. Well, but you'll remember from those games, if you start an attack animation and hit an enemy, you'll notice that other enemies won't begin attacking you while you're attacking someone else. So you've got
Yeah.
time to hit an enemy, then read and react to any incoming attacks and counter them. Same thing with
Mm.
Spider-Man. If you've already started an attack, an enemy won't start a new attack until you finish hitting a guy. So you've got time
Yep.
to read the situation and react to it. Avengers doesn't do that. You can be starting an attack, and at the same time, an enemy will come at you with either an unblockable attack or one that you
Yep.
have to parry, and there's no way to do that because
Yeah.
you're already in the middle of an animation that is going to take longer to play through than the
Yep.
animation of an enemy attacking you.
Yeah, it sometimes feels like Mario Kart when you're in first place and then suddenly get hit by a blue shell, and then just as you're about to start going again, you get hit by a red shell, and then just as you're about to start going again, you get hit with a green shell,
That
and then
is the
just as you're about to start
perfect
going again, you
analogy
get
for
hit
it.
by the bullet. Yeah, you just like it's nonstop,
And it makes it
and
annoying for Black
I
Panther because he can't build up his intrinsic meter.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
So maybe there's a different issue in this game that's deeper than some of the playstyle. It's just like how the enemies interact with the heroes.
and like other than that, I don't mind the combat. His movement is fantastic, and
Yeah.
once you get to a higher power level, he hits hard. But with the enemies having all these abilities that are coming at you at once, and all these unblockable attacks, it gets really frustrating more than anything.
Yeah.
And when people were asking for new enemy types other than robots, I don't think they meant what we got.
What we got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't think so. And like it's nice that they're adding something and then it's nice that they're listening to the community in that way, but like yeah, there needs to be something else.
And another thing we haven't mentioned yet is the bugs in this DLC, like the big
Oh my
black
gosh.
sphere visual artifacts that appear on screen anytime you defeat an enemy.
Those things are so weird. I saw it the first time I saw one, I was like, wait, what is happening? Is this intentional? But obviously it's
I
not
thought it was part of
intentional.
the game. I thought like I was supposed to hit it and break it open or something and loot would come out. But nope.
Nope.
So one of the last things I want to talk about is the boss fight with Claw and Crossbones at the end of the
Yeah,
story. I want to single this out because I personally found the boss fight to be incredibly frustrating, and
right.
it was my least favorite part of this whole expansion, including the stupid fuse tower with me getting blinded.
Yeah. I
So
found the
what did you
boss
think?
fight better than those things.
Okay.
And you know what? I can't even remember. Um, like the fight with Maestro in the Hawkeye one, because I just beat that one not too long ago.
Mhm.
That one felt very samey to the Abomination one,
It did.
and it was really easy to get through. The one
Yeah.
with Black Panther at least felt a little bit different, and that, not only is it just Claw, but you also have Crossbones in there for a second. But it was still just, team smashy up on either one guy or the other guy. I kind of ignored, um, I think I kind of ignored Crossbones and
I
just
did
focused
too.
on
I
Claw.
ignored Crossbones for most of it.
Yeah.
I think my biggest point of frustration with that was when Claw traps you in the red bubble with him, and then it's the
Yeah.
one-on-one fight. My problem with that is that he has all these unblockable attacks that you have to dodge, but the
Oh
dodge
my
indicator
God.
for those is red too. So
Yep.
if your camera isn't at the exact right angle, this red indicator blends in with the red bubble, and it makes it impossible to
Can't see
properly
anything.
time the dodges. So I
Yep.
got really frustrated with that because there was no way to avoid getting hit. It was a needless layer of difficulty. I would have rather seen Claw have an attack pattern that you needed to sort of memorize out in an open space Like, yes, sure, you could
Hmm.
memorize his attack pattern in that bubble, but in such a confined space, it's hard to do that because you can't give
Yeah.
yourself the space you need to recognize, okay, that's when he does this move, this is when he does that move.
Actually, if you don't mind, I wanted to go back for a second because with the level design, they added these new puzzles, and I did not like them. I actually found them kind of annoying because at first I didn't understand it. Like there was the first puzzle I encountered was that one where it was the side one, so I don't know if maybe did you do everything in the map or did you just kind of skip through the story?
No, I mostly did the story. I did a couple of the
Right.
side things with the big circle switches that you throw the knives at,
Yeah,
if that's what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was talking about. And I didn't realize that there was a whole panel of wall lights and history that you're supposed to look at before. And so I just started throwing daggers at the wall and like nothing was happening. And so I got so frustrated and I eventually just gonna leave
Oh yeah,
because I was like,
yeah.
I'm not
That
gonna
that
get
one
this. And
is
then
part
I
of the
saw
main
that.
story. That one.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
it tells you in the top left corner. There's like a little text hint that says like read the story of Wakanda's history to solve the puzzle. But it's in such small text
Uh,
that
I
I
missed it.
I didn't
Yeah.
know I didn't notice it either, and I think it disappears after a few seconds. So you have to click the Jarvis button to get it to show up again.
Okay.
Because yeah, I got there
Yeah.
too, and I was like, okay, well, there's so many buttons here. What do I do?
Hmm. And
And
there was that platforming puzzle that this one might have been the side quest one, where you had to, there was stuff on the walls and you had to jump on the panel that matched the one that had the symbol on the wall. Did you see that one?
yeah, I didn't see that one.
Okay. That one was even more frustrating because it was a platforming one.
Hmm.
And the platforms themselves, like 70% of the platform is the button. And so while you're trying to make these jumps and time them properly so that you can land on the platform, you also don't want to step on the tile. And so I was trying to kind of like hold back my jump and so many times I held back my jump and just ended up falling off the cliff and then having to start over. Or I had times where I was jumping onto the platform and I hit the button that wasn't the correct button and it just resets your whole progress. And it's like, so you have to get sent back to the start.
Oh
And
no.
oh man, it was so frustrating.
Yeah, one thing I want to say here, and this is just my opinion, so don't everyone jump down my throat to it, but message to Crystal Dynamics here. Pressing buttons is not a puzzle. Jumping on switches is not a puzzle. It doesn't require any intellectual effort. It requires
Yeah.
a very minimal ability to memorize a couple patterns and repeat
Yep.
them, but it's not a puzzle to me. And
No,
so
it's
saying
just
you're
matching.
adding a different color of switch or a different style of switch onto the wall isn't adding new puzzles to the game. It's taking quote unquote puzzles that you already had in the game and
Yeah.
redesigning them to fit the aesthetic of the DLC, much like with the rest of the level design. And that's one of my
Hmm.
big frustrations is that the changes in this DLC really feel to only be skin deep. Anything beyond that,
Yeah.
functionally, it is the same game. And
Yeah.
my overall impression is that they needed to do something to shake up what the game is at its core, because
Yep.
what it is at its core isn't keeping people invested.
No. And this was the character to do it too. Because he's a
Mm-hmm.
hugely popular character, hugely popular. And if you wanted to bring people back into the game, like, it kind of did for us, but you wanted to bring them back into a game and keep them in the game, this was the perfect time to launch with an
Mm-hmm.
overhaul. Because they waited for Kate and they waited for Clint. They originally thought before COVID that they were going to be dropping a new hero like every month because they thought they were going to have the development time for that. But with, all the bugs and everything going wrong, they delayed her and they delayed her and they delayed her and they were non-committal on the date and then eventually they announced her and we were like, finally, we got a new character, we're getting somewhere, and they were making some changes, so it was a little bit better. But this character, with how huge they were making it seem, like they were like, this is our biggest expansion yet, and they're coming with UI changes and all other sorts of changes. This should have been where you made your big jump
Mm-hmm.
into what you think the game should be for the next 2 or 3 years, and it
So,
didn't do
with
that.
with having said that, then my big question for today is, do you feel like this DLC was the make it or break it for this game? And did it make it or did it break it?
You know what? If this was the make it or break it for this game, I would say they probably broke it because they didn't do enough to really keep people in the game, which is the big concern with a live service game like this. Like, you added 4 hours more content, and maybe 10, 15, if depending on how long it takes you to grind out Black Panther to 150, level 50, and then champion 50. Like, that's about it though. And you didn't add enough extra content to keep people in this game and wanting to play this game for a long period of time before the next character, you know?
Hmm.
But I don't really think that this was the make it or break it for this game because I think this game is already down to its core fans. I don't think you're getting many people in unless you make a drastic change, and I do have a bold claim about that I'll make in a second. But I'll let you give your opinion on this. What do you think? Was it a make it or break it?
For me, I think it is just because of how much they hyped this up. And like you said, at this point, it feels like the only people left playing this game are the core community. And I feel like they have waited so long for Black Panther. Of course, with
Hmm.
the tragedy with Chadwick Boseman, it would have been in bad taste to release it. And yet, it's
Yeah.
still recent enough of an event in our lives and in history that releasing Black Panther now it, he is at an all-time high opinion in people's
Hmm.
like people have the highest regard for him that they
Yeah, and
have
like I
ever
don't even
had.
know if this was intentional, but they released him in the same week that the What If episode was about Black Panther with Chadwick in a voiceover performance.
Hmm.
So
So
like,
like this was the time to release Black Panther, but because people have been waiting for him for so long, and because I feel like this DLC really underdelivered in terms of the changes they needed to make to the core gameplay loop, I think that people who have been playing this game for a long time are going to feel betrayed by it because
yeah.
now you've got, people were already up in arms about things like, paying $20 for each MCU skin, stuff
Hmm.
like that, and now to do something like this where the gameplay, if anything, has gotten slightly more frustrating with the new enemy types, and the level design really
Yeah.
didn't get overhauled, and the new UI is still kind of complicated. I think
Hmm.
people are just going to say, okay, you know what? They aren't really listening. Like, there are superficial signs, like introducing MCU skins in the first place, that say they
Yep.
maybe are listening, but then when
Yep.
you dig a little deeper, the same flaws that have existed from the beginning are still there.
Yeah. They are. And I think there's things that they're just never going to change. Skins is one of them, wherein they literally just added a new skin type. They changed the kind of level of, uh, I guess, the level of the skin
Yeah, the
from
MCU skins
legendary
are
to
exotic now.
exotic for MCU, yeah, for movie skins. And in my eyes, that that was an opportunity for them to do a pricing change
Hmm.
because, like, if you have exotics at 1400, legendary at 900, epic at 700, and then everything else below that, as they are right now with the sale, that's maybe a little bit better, but 1400 coins credits, which is essentially what, $14,
Hmm.
um, is still too much for one skin, in my opinion.
Oh, it is absolutely too much. And
Yeah.
I agree. It should have been a pricing change there. I think 1,000 credits at most for an upper end outfit. I shouldn't have to buy more than the smallest credits pack to get a
No,
skin. I think
no.
that is
It
just
is pretty
highway robbery.
ridiculous. That's true.
And you can't
I'm in.
even earn credits beyond the Challenger Pass,
And you
or
can't
Hero
earn
Hero Hero
those
Pass, whatever it's
without
called.
buying the pass now. for the
Yes.
newer characters, and I have no incentive to buy any of them because the skins that are included with them, quite frankly, are
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, the challenge passes are a little bit strange in that regard where like I liked Kate's, like I'm literally wearing the one right now that it was at the end of hers and that one I liked, but with like Hawkeye, I haven't even gone. Oh, actually, no, I did go out of my way to finish his. But with Black Panther, like I haven't even started it yet, and with the other two characters, like I was checking every day to complete my daily challenges, and
Hmm.
yeah,
But that's part of the problem. You're wearing one skin out of minimum of what a $10 pass. One skin
yeah,
for like all those challenges really isn't enough. If I were going to
no,
do a season pass type system like they are doing, I would do it in a format where it's not a season pass that's tied to each individual character, but rather when each
yeah,
expansion comes out, have a pass that includes outfits for multiple characters that are actually
yeah.
worth earning.
That's a
It,
good idea because one of the problems that I can see now is they put these skin sets out, which is like uniform skins for all the characters, and a lot of people like those. But as soon as a new character is introduced, they don't bother to add the skin for that skin set anymore. And so now you got a one character that's completely left out. So unless they add those, like you that skin set's basically useless now.
yeah. Well,
But it
and
would
even
be
as
cool if they launched with a skin set. And so like if everyone got a Wakandan skin, you
well,
know?
and even as a
Some sort
business
of
decision,
Afrofuturism scheme.
like if you look at um, the way the battle passes are done right now, with it being tied to each new character, a lot of people don't like a lot of these characters and don't play them. So
Yeah.
they're actually losing out on money because people will decide, well, I don't like this character anyway, so why would I
Hmm.
bother paying for a bunch of outfits for them? Whereas if you do
Yeah.
one single season pass with multiple characters and each getting outfits
Yeah.
and sort of theme them around a new character, then you
Hmm.
create an opportunity to earn more money, which then maybe you could
Yeah.
put back into improving the game.
Yeah. Which can we talk about for a second how much of an insult that end game upgrade is?
Okay,
Like,
that
have you looked at
that
that?
is that is also super misleading because you get one
Pissed me the
suit
fuck
from
off.
Endgame, you get Hawkeye's
Yep.
Endgame suit, and then a bunch of other
Yep.
random skins that are totally unrelated.
Yep.
If you're going to use
You
the
get
word
Black Widow and
Endgame,
Hawkeye.
yeah, if you're
Yeah.
going to use the word Endgame in a Marvel context, you better understand the ramifications of that because to
Yes.
me that implies that I'm getting all the Endgame skins for all the characters, which I think everyone really would have loved if you could get them all in
Yes.
one bundle for a relatively low
Absolutely.
price. That would have been a
I
great
would have
move.
bought it.
Yeah, I would have
If
too.
it was $25 for all five of the endgame skins, that would have been like on my credit card bill right now. It would have
Yeah.
been there.
Instead,
But
you open it up,
they
it's a
were.
bunch of random skins for all the characters, and
Yep.
one of them's related to Endgame, one's from the Black Widow movie, and the rest are just, I think, just like some of the recolor skins. I'm just like,
Yep. Just random
are,
skins.
are you serious?
Really
Like,
frustrating.
I can't believe it. Speaking
It
of
was
other
just such an
things that are
insult.
frustrating, that are also insulting, have you by chance played the Corrupted Vibranium live event that's going on right now?
And I haven't yet. No.
It is quite possibly the worst live event in a live service
Oh.
title I have ever played in a game because it does
Oh no.
so little to change the game. You look at other live service titles like I'll give Apex Legends as an example because when they do an event,
Yeah.
you remember like the Chaos Theory event, they had the little mini heat rings pop up throughout
Hmm.
the main ring as you
Yep.
played, so you had to avoid those, and that added a new wrinkle to the gameplay that was actually
Hmm.
meaningful. Or they had like the free respawn stuff like that.
Yep.
The Corrupted Vibranium event adds these three little corrupted vibranium clusters to missions that are being recycled from launch,
Oh
where
no.
if you go and destroy them, you get
Purple
a piece of
rose,
vibranium gear.
purple
But it takes all
petals,
of five
purple
seconds.
power.
It doesn't change the game.
Excuse me?
That's a
Much like
yikes for
everything
me.
else they've added, it doesn't do anything to shake up the formula, and that is the running theme here.
Beyond the DLC, the events haven't brought me in. The Red Room event, I didn't play.
Oh, I
I didn't
didn't
play
either.
at all. these events aren't big enough, and they're not adding enough for me to go to that. Like the nameplates that they were offering for the Red Room were also an insult. They were like, "Oh, they're animated nameplates." No, they're not. You put red dust over a picture and called it like a animated nameplate. That's such a joke.
Hmm.
Like if you wanted to do something that was actually impactful, then add a progress bar like some of these Apex Legends events do, where if you know maybe hit a certain number of robots killed or something like that. That's like a lazy example, but you build up this progress bar and you work your way towards unlocking like legendary or exotic skins or something cool,
Yeah,
right?
a
Which could be for
timed
any
exclusive
character.
skin that they actually
Yeah,
put effort into would give me a
yeah,
reason to come back. But with that, they also need to add new missions with events. If you're going to do an event,
hmm
you can't just recycle an old mission and say
no,
that it's a big deal because really
yeah,
it isn't. I mean,
no,
it's tough with games like this that are story and PvE focused. And I mean, you look at even the more successful PvE live service games like GTA Online,
yeah,
for example. Their events usually are like double money for a certain game type. But the exception there is that GTA has enough mission types and enough variety that they can get away with doing that and it won't
yeah.
feel repetitive. There are
And the
not
core
enough.
gameplay is fun to just dick around in on its own. Whereas like this, if like a patrol mode, I think they had a Wasteland Patrol,
Mhm,
but like it doesn't feel like fun enough to just jump in and play that I would want to do that, Like
mhm.
and it's just the even if I'm not getting at anything, in terms of like costumes or whatever out of it, like is it fun to play and like is it just fun to be in the world and so like I the incentives are not matching my lack of enthusiasm to just play.
No, no, there is not enough incentive to come back, and they really need to address that. Like having
Yeah.
exotic gear as a reward for a mission for me isn't an incentive because the gear system isn't all that great. It needs to be something
No.
like an outfit or like a really cool looking nameplate if you're going to do a nameplate, but it needs
Yeah.
to be something that I can feel proud to show off. You cannot
Or like a
show
group of
off your gear.
nameplates, or a skin set. Like they add these skin sets that you can pay for. If you wanted a Red Room event to be big, have the Red Room skin set be an achievable thing that you can get for all of your existing characters if you complete the entire Red Room event.
To
That
quote
is something that people would work for.
to quote EA here, I think it would give people a sense of pride and accomplishment to be able to earn a skin that you can show off to people. I mean,
But really,
if you look at the successful live service games, in my
yeah,
opinion, you have two types. You have the competitive multiplayer battle royale live service games, so Fortnite,
yeah,
Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone. And then
yeah,
the other type of successful live service game is the open world sandbox. So
yep.
GTA Online, Red Dead Online
Red Dead.
is sort of okay. That's been lacking for content. That's a topic for
Mhm.
another time. And this is going to be controversial here again. Please don't jump down my throat. But Fallout 76, it had a rocky launch, but it has a great community around it, and it has evolved into a really good game. So if you haven't tried it or given it a chance since launch, go play it. Really good
Yeah,
game, a lot of
absolutely.
fun. Um, so that type of live service game is the open world sandbox type game where you
Yeah,
can get together with some friends and go exploring. You can build your own base, you can collect outfits and stuff. You can really
yeah,
personalize your character. GTA, I had a goal with coming back. Every time they add an update, they add a new set of cars to buy. And my
yeah.
goal was always to collect all the cars and have a property with all the garages filled with all these super expensive cars.
Mhm.
But now I need to be able to afford those cars, so I would have incentive to go grind the missions and play all the
Yep,
heists over and over again and
yep,
earn the
yep, yep,
money
yep, yep.
to buy the cars. With Avengers, I don't have anything to show off and personalize my character, so there's no
No.
incentive once I get to power level
Ah, you
150
got
for
talent
me to go and
yourself.
grind those
What
missions
game?
and keep playing.
No.
Is it poker?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And like they have been talking about reworking gear. And so like what's my incentive as an informed fan to go and like grind gear if I know that they're just gonna rework it in some capacity? Like, is my gear just gonna be completely void one day? Like, are they gonna like transfer into something and like it just feels like it wasn't useful? Because like gear doesn't show in your characters like it would in, I don't know how it works in 76, but it doesn't show on your characters because they have the cosmetics and they're supposed to look the way that they look in the comics, which is fine. But then have skins be more of an incentive. Like
Well,
have this be a bigger spot. Like have nameplates be a bigger thing. Like give them away. Like
mhm. Well, and it's
it's like they're
interesting that you
holding on
bring
to
up
them.
how that works in Fallout 76 because you actually have the option because you can have gear that you put on your character that shows, but then you can
Yeah.
also put a cosmetic on over top of that gear to override the appearance, which I think would have been the
Oh.
better approach with this game, where if you put
Hmm.
on a piece of gear, it changes your character's appearance, but then you also have the skins you can throw on as an override if you want your character
Yeah.
to look a specific uniform way.
Yeah. That would be very interesting, and I think they should look at that. I think we're probably running low on time, so I just wanted to like kind of talk generally about the future of this game,
Of course,
and
yeah, and
if
that
that's
that's
fine.
yeah, that's kind of how I wanted to wrap this up. Is to get your thoughts on the
Great.
future of the game and sort of how War
Okay.
for Wakanda impacted that and how you feel going forward.
Mhm. I think that War for Wakanda, for me as a fan of this game, like it felt like another sigh, you know? Like
Hmm.
I played it, I finished it, and I was just kind of like, ah, okay, like it's the same stuff, right?
Hmm.
And so I think they need to make some changes. Here's my kind of wish list for that. I think skins need to be cheaper. I
Yeah,
think they need to be significantly cheaper.
absolutely.
Nameplates should be cheaper. Like everything across the board needs to be cheaper. Credits need to be achievable through things like events and that sort of thing, so people actually can buy them.
Hmm.
Um, I also think that this game would benefit from going free to play.
Absolutely. I think any live service game can benefit from being free to play
Yeah,
because if you're going to charge money for cosmetics within the game, you take away the justification for charging, at least here in Canada, $80 for a new
yeah,
game. You
yeah.
can't have $20 cosmetics and expect people to pay a premium price tag for the game. I think it's
No,
pick one or the other, but if you do
yeah.
both, it's really a slap in the face to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And like as somebody who literally pre-ordered the deluxe version of this game, like that was like $100 in Canadian, like for me to get this game. Like I wanted to go free to play because one, I think it will bring in more fans or more players. Two, I think that would encourage them to make more skins and make people buy more skins. And I think willingness to buy needs to be addressed
Hmm.
because, yeah, you're gonna have your whales, and people want MCU skins. So if they're gonna be $14, then people are gonna buy them for $14. Like, but if you had them at like $5 to $10, like 10 is still a little bit extreme in my opinion. But
Hmm.
if it was a $5 skin, I would buy all of them right now.
Yeah.
And that's you're getting my money when I would not pay for a single one right now.
Hmm.
But yeah. Also, I think I don't know what character could come next that's going to save this game. I don't think a character or an expansion is going to come in and save this game until fundamentals are addressed.
No, the core gameplay absolutely needs to be addressed. Overall,
Yeah.
I was very disappointed with War for Wakanda. They need to shake up the gameplay. They can't keep relying on the Fortnite style pricing model for their skins to keep this game alive because
No.
games like Fortnite, like Apex, like Warzone are competitive multiplayer games. It's a fundamentally different style of game. There's
Yeah.
always a reason to come back to those because it's never the same game twice. This is the
Hmm.
same game 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Same enemies, same missions, they always end the same way. You need more
Hmm.
incentive for players to come back. And I
Yeah.
agree, it's not going to take just a character to turn that around, especially if their next character is Spider Man, because that is likely going to launch around the time Far From Home comes out. So that's 4 months from now.
Yeah.
Xbox and PC players aren't getting him, so they're going
No.
at minimum 4 months, probably at least 8 months, without getting a new character.
Yeah.
The majority of the
I
people
hope they
left
can
playing this
turn up
game, I
the.
think, are on Xbox and PC because, that's
Yeah.
two-thirds of the platforms available. They're going to
Mhm.
lose that player base if they don't do something quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think they need to speed up the frequency of character drops. And like if they're not all going to be as big in terms of the spectacle of War for Wakanda in Black Panther, then I think you can add characters at a bit of a higher frequency. Ideally, they wanted to add one character a month. However, I think because this game hasn't done as well as maybe they thought it was going to do, they are really gauging their options and seeing if it's even worth it to put the time and money into having characters come out every month.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think we'll see that unless there is a bit of an uptick, but you're not going to see that from Spider-Man.
No, and
And I don't even know if you're going to see that from She-Hulk, which I think is another one of the rumored soon to come characters.
and I'm a bit concerned in that sense because the only other confirmed character coming to the game is Spider-Man. And so,
Yeah.
since they haven't promised anything else, I think if they haven't started seeing a better return on this game by the time Spider Man comes out, this game could be going the Anthem route.
Yeah. And that might just be the end of it.
But, like I said at the start of this, I don't want to hate on this game. I want to see it do well.
No.
I'm
That's the
unfortunately
thing.
very disappointed with this update, but I want to see it do better. And that's why I wanted to sit down and have this discussion because we want to
Yeah.
see this do better. We really do.
Yeah. That's the thing. This is a game that I do see potential in. That's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. I really see this game as being like something that I want to come play. And I did. I played 250 hours of this game. I grinded out every single character, including Kate, like to power level 150. I haven't gotten to champion yet, but that's a whole different thing.
These characters
And
have
like,
incredible potential. This is a very good looking game. The combat
oh
is
yeah,
fun. It's got the potential, but they need to shake up the formula.
yes. So I guess that's kind of it. Yeah, like that's how I feel about it too. War for Wakanda was a bit of a kind of a disappointing same sort of thing
Hmm.
as Kate and Clint in a way. It left me with the same feeling
Hmm.
that those did, and
Yeah,
so I want to see some of these changes.
yeah. Anyway, that is going to do it for us today. We may end up needing to split this into two parts, but thank you for joining us, Kyle. I want to say a big
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
to,
me, Nick.
yeah, of course. And
I'm excited that this is something that you maybe are going to do moving forward because I like sitting here and talking about stuff like this. And I also like listening to stuff like this, so I'm hoping that there's other people out there that are the same.
I really do too. And for anyone who did sit through this and listen, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for tuning into the channel. If you could leave a like, comment your thoughts. What do you think of War for Wakanda? Do you think it's good enough to save the game? Do you think more needs to be done? Let us know in the comments. And if you
Mhm.
haven't
Let us know what
already,
you think, what your
yeah,
changes should be for this game too, because I'm interested to see what other people think this game needs to go into the direction that they feel is makes it worth playing.
absolutely. And if you haven't already subscribed, if you could please click that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It'll really help us grow the channel. We're so close to our 500 subscriber goal. And
Yes.
thank you again so much for watching. See you later, everyone.
Bye.